Hey folks, this is Edge from SWHIPGaming, and we need to talk about Diablo 4. So let me cut right to the chase here. Diablo 4 is gonna suck away your life. This game feels really good. It feels so good. Is it perfect? Well, no. But is any game, for that matter? Let me let you know where I'm coming from. I've been a Diablo fan since I was 17, and I'm very old now. Let's just say I started playing Diablo way back in 1998. I was an avid player of Diablo 2. Yeah, I really liked Diablo 3. I know everyone hates Diablo 3, but it really isn't that bad, just different. I will not, however, be speaking from the point of a Path of Exile player, as I actually don't care for that game at all. So I'm strictly a Diablo player, and that's going to be my point of view here. So with that, let's start. First, let's talk about what I enjoyed about the early access beta. Okay, so one, the controls feel good. They feel so good, both the keyboard and mouse and the gamepad. I had no issues with anything working. I didn't have any like weird menu issues. Everything just kind of worked perfectly. The graphics were gorgeous and ran very well on my system. I was able to maintain a consistent 120 frames per second. I lock my frames per second at that because I don't know why, I just do. With maybe I had like a small dip every now and again on the scale there from to 117 or 118. The itemization was pretty good. The stats were pretty easy to understand, but it seems like it'll have a nice complex system at in-game. I loved the main story and was sad to see it end. I really was. I was getting into it. I wanted more, more of that. I loved all the different side quests, the cellars, the dungeons. We'll get into the cellars and stuff a little bit later. I like hunting down the statues of Lilith. They give your account different little bonuses, like you might get +2 strength or +2 dexterity, and it counts for all your characters on your account, both already made and future characters, I would assume. I don't know, I didn't try. There just seems to be a lot to do, and I hope it all stays relevant and fresh as the game gets older and progresses on. I don't know if it will, but we'll see. I don't know how seasons are going to affect that. Now, I want to talk about a couple things that I personally didn't enjoy. Class balance, at least in this beta, this is something that's going to be ongoing, so this could be totally different even next week for the open beta. But I feel like I would just mention this here. But class balance seems to be a bit off. Like, my sorcerer was just seemingly just way stronger than my barbarian with just choosing random skills. Like, there are some barbarian builds that I've tried that could deal some crazy damage, like way more than my sorcerer. But I'm just saying, as a like, I'm looking through the eyes of a new person that's just coming into the game. You know, they're just gonna be kind of selecting random skills, yada yada yada. The sorcerer is much more beginner friendly. Like, you can just click, 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 and it doesn't really matter. You use your electric skill, everything's going to die on the screen in like 2 seconds. Barbarian, if you pick the wrong skills on that, you're toast. It's going to take you forever to kill things. You're going to die a million times. The game is going to feel very brutal. They are very gear dependent, and I can't really say that that's much different than previous Diablo games though. Like, I think Barbarian has almost always been really gear dependent. They don't get good until they have gear. So it might just be the same here, but I was hoping that they might address something like that and, you know, kind of balance that out. And then also reuse of tile sets. I think I've seen this one in the forums a couple times, or maybe another video or something, but the tile sets, like the reuse of them seems really high. So it looked like every cellar that I went into that was attached to like a house was like the same room with just like a couple of different accents here or there. But the room itself, it was just copy and paste, it seemed. That's kind of okay, kind of not. I won't say it's completely okay. I would love to see different designs for all those. But I understand this is a huge game and we're only seeing like probably not even 25% of it. But also dungeon goals. And pretty much almost the layouts. The dungeons were almost all the same. It was like you had to kill a couple things and then go open the door, then fight a boss. go activate 2 switches that open up a gate and then kill a boss. I mean, all those, and then it was just like rinse and repeat. All those were very similar. And then there were some annoying ones that were like, kill all these enemies. I mean, yeah, those are in Diablo 3 as well, like kill all the enemies in Diablo 1. But I wouldn't say that they were the most fun and engaging, and they're definitely not here, because it just seems like the dungeons are pretty large, which is good. That's a good thing, but it seems like the dungeons are pretty large. And so trying to take out all the enemies can be really annoying. Item drop rates were a bit high for my taste as far as legendaries and rares go. It looked like I was getting way too many legendaries. I'm pretty sure by the time I was like 17 or 18, my barbarian was like almost fully loaded with legendary. Maybe I had a ring and maybe a couple other items that weren't. And that was only because I didn't want to use those items, because I had legendaries to replace all the rares in there. But yeah, so it's like the legendaries are dropping too much, it seemed. And that may just be because they might just be doing that for the beta, but I'm not super sure on that. But it just kind of seems like that's going to be a little bit too much if they go live with those. The stats, they do a little bit too little. In Diablo 3, your stats were really, really super important. But in this game, in Diablo 4, at least in this beta, they feel like they lack value almost at all. So I had at one point, I think like 128 strength, which is not a lot, but it for the point of this test, I think I was like maybe 14 or so. And I think that was like 12.8% damage increase. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's not linear, but it kind of looks like it's going to be linear. So if they try to cap the stat to like 1,200, and that's only going to be 128% damage increase or whatever. Yeah, I just don't know. I know that they want to move away from the gear and stats being super important, but I think they might have moved a little bit too far, because the levels also don't really make you feel any stronger. And neither does skill choice, because they kind of just add like 1 or 2 points of damage per point. And it's not like a super crazy amount of damage been added there, which is fine. But also, I know I'm probably going to get roasted for this, but I am not a huge fan of super tight level scaling. The enemy scale up to you, and that's fine. But it seems like in this game, you actually go the opposite direction. Like as you level up, you get a little bit weaker, and I don't think that feels great. This is also early in the game, so that might be completely different. And yeah, this is even with getting great gear. So I would get gear that like gave me 26 points extra of strength and yada yada yada, 20% extra basic attack damage, all this. And then I'd go out after a new level and I'd get my face smashed pretty much. I mean, it's like, it felt like I was just getting weaker as it progressed instead of stronger. So it does feel like it lacks progression, and that's something that can be tweaked. You know, they could maybe have the level scale based on the world tier you're in. So maybe the enemies scale to your level in World Tier 1, for example, but they only go up to 80% of what they would be at 100% of that level. And then in World Tier 2, maybe that goes up to 90%. World Tier 3, maybe that's 100%. World Tier 4, maybe that's 110%. You know, stronger than they would be, so stronger than your level. So, I mean, they just have to play around with that. And I seen mention of that in the forums too, people freaking out about it. It didn't make the game unplayable. It just didn't make it feel great. So a lot of people are either very new to ARPGs and they just need to learn how to play the genre. I hate to say that. I don't want to sound condescending. I'm really not trying to be, but the game is not really that hard. This is not like Dark Souls levels of difficulty, but it can be a little tough. But that's about it. But anyhow, I'm going to wrap this up. I think I've rambled long enough. Overall, I think this game is shaping up to be an excellent base experience. Did anyone watching this play the EA? And if so, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. You know, all that stuff we ask you to do. Keep an eye on the channel. I plan to start doing content for Diablo 4 on release. So until next time, I'm out.